interrupt your regularly scheduled program for this special report.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody! Awesome! You people bought a ticket to see me, so shut up!
Yeah. Sometimes I get so mad, there's no control.
Ladies and gentlemen, just in case you live under a rock,
I might
you
grab
are
a bat,
looking
I
at the
don't know, my rap, my
youngest
blood
and
boils
fastest
over
rising
like,
star in
oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things, realize something needs change. Cause I know you got me fucked up, let me show you what's up. Cause enough is enough. I'll take a face full of pavement just to make a statement. I know there's no turning back. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes like that. I'll play it on your face just to make you go take it back. I'll lose my shit, I go crazy when I'm mad. And now you gon' wish you was just a fuck up real bad. Shut up.
Be the villain! And I have no problem at all, because I couldn't care less if you like me or not. I'm here for success, and there's no one more successful than Grayson Waller.
Yeah! Let me talk to you! War game.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Heal the Ring podcast here on the Sports Jedi Network. I'm with Chris here, and we're going to do all Elite Wrestling. Yes, don't adjust your TV sets or your... This is not I'm not have amnesia like Toni Storm, but yes, we are going to review AEW because we did actually watch it. My son had the privilege of being there, and they told me it was a really good event. I watched it, and Chris watched it, and we're here to break it down, man. So salute to everyone. What's up, Chris? How are you, man?
I'm great. I'm thankful to be here. Yes, everybody, we are doing AEW. I enjoyed the show last night. I might too planned on flying down to Orlando, but stuff happens. I regret it. AEW always does great pay-per-views, but now the question is, can they transition this into their shows? But we'll get into that later. It was a good show. I really didn't mind it. It was okay.
And I love you asked that question because I had that question as well that I wanted to ask that at the end of this card because, AEW, regardless of the fact of their viewership, and as much as they've become a little bit of a butt of the jokes with Twitter, on social media, and all that stuff, at the end of the day, when they do a premium live event, or pay-per-view, because let's word here that because he gets in his feelings, and you call it a pay-per-view, they do give you good wrestling action. Sometimes a little too much, too long. But we'll leave that. That's we don't want to go down a rabbit hole. We want to talk about and celebrate what was World End last night, and we'll talk with the 0 Hour. We had the 0 Hour kicking off. What a week 0 Hour with RJ City and May. They do a good job there. Paquette. They do a hell of a job there. They kick off the first matchup with Toni Storm versus Lela Gray, OVW's own Lela Gray. Of course, we saw her with the Baddies, part of the Baddies with Jade Cargill, off and on talent that's being used by All Elite Wrestling. Not fully All Elite. She still, has her ties with OVW, back and forth. Good to see Lela Gray get on pay-per-view, on a big pay-per-view on All Elite Wrestling. Well-deserved. I kind of want, I know she loves OVW, and I give her credit for waving the OVW flag, being with Top Flight. Her match with Toni Storm, reinventing herself with the amnesia role and all that good stuff there. We had a good matchup there for her first pay-per-view to kick it off, the women. And your thoughts on that Toni Storm, Lela Gray matchup to open up World's End?
It was just a simple match to, put Toni Storm a little bit over. They needed her to get more momentum going in. She's coming back. She has the same character, but she's kind of doesn't know what she's doing. It's kind of different. And this was just good for Lela, like you said, to be on national, on a big pay-per-view stage, on a big company like AEW. So this was nothing special, nothing really great. It was just, give Toni Storm, get Toni Storm over while giving this person some some exposure, basically. What's we doing?
And that was pretty well said because Lela Gray gets the exposure needed. Also OVW, if you've seen Lela Gray, you've seen her in The Wrestler on Netflix. And for her story with her husband Luke Curtis, certified Luke Curtis, shout out to them. One of my favorites in OVW. I always give OVW a lot of shout outs and pop and praise because they do it not because of the Netflix, but watching them there at the High Point Arena doing great work and for the history that OVW has. So I wanted to give that shout out to them. This match here was just like you said, getting Toni Storm back into the women's picture with this kind of recycled or different version of her gimmick with the amnesia, stuff like that. And of course, you see Lela Gray come out. Good job, ladies, opening the contest. Kudos for Khan putting them open up the opening contest there. Of course, you got some backstage interview with QT Marshall and by the way, you have a Slapnuts in Orlando still wrestling here in 2024 to 2025 and Double J Jeff Jarrett, babyface, and of course, he wasn't so happy of Jeff Jarrett interfering in the Costco guys matchup last time. This match between QT Marshall and Jeff Jarrett, I'm going to give it to you there. Your thoughts on this match here for match number 2 in the 0 hour.
Poor QT, man. He's doing such a good job of putting all these guys over that he has to. Jeff Jarrett, I'm happy he's still, kind of doing his thing. His time's slowly going to come to an end. I think 2025 will be his last year we see him in the ring. But these are two guys, these are two guys who know how to wrestle. They're not going to go out and do the gymnastics, do the crazy moves. This is going to be an old classic wrestling match, and this is exactly what it was. So I enjoyed it. It was very simple. Again, these 0 hour matches are, in my opinion, are just matches you put out to showcase, just to put something out there. It's a free hour and a half of wrestling matches and interviews. I mean, just put good stuff out there to get them excited for the pay-per-view. And they also did a good job doing that, like Lela Gray and Toni Storm did in the match before. So good match, the right person won, and shout out to QT Marshall for been doing his job over the last couple months, putting over that Costco guy, and now he's doing the same thing for Jeff Jarrett, whose career in the ring is slowly coming to an end.
All right, I was looking at that and just to see QT Marshall, what he does with the Nightmare Factory, being an instructor. When I saw this match going, and I said, what storyline here other than the honor of the Costco guy and keeping his name relevant to the storyline, or not being there, but surely talking about him pretty much a lot. For me, I kind of feel a little bit different. I kind of would have liked to see QT Marshall get the victory because now the Costco guy is still, maybe he returns to try to get Marshall back because he beat Jarrett to try to defend him, all that stuff. Jarrett doesn't need the victory at that age right now. QT Marshall could get the rub from the veteran on his way winding down in the back nine just to get QT Marshall going because QT Marshall, believe it or not, he is very entertaining on the microphone. He also gets the psychology of wrestling. Him and Jarrett, the match was very good. Like you said, you're not going to get the flippy floppy. You're not going to get the jungle gymnastic orchestrated matches. You're just going to get wrestling with psychology, and they did deliver that for the 0 hour. Again, I would have loved to see QT Marshall win, but that's another, hey, it didn't happen. They move on here. It was a nice pop for Jarrett coming out from the Orlando crowd. By the way, my sons were in attendance. I live in Orlando, Florida, so I wanted to get that shout out there. And they told me, and it looked on television, and yes, the place was pretty much 3/4 full. The upper bowls, a couple upper bowl and the corners, like a whole entire section did not have fans in it. But we're not here to put light on that. We're just here that it was a great crowd. That they actually Orlando showed out and showed up. And they went and they cheered. And then despite having another wrestling event with the WWE house show, a couple just 10 at least about 10 miles away, west from where the event was, from Madison Financial, did a good job there showing out for All Elite Wrestling. And from the first part, from the 0 hour, the crowd was invested. And kudos to that. I want to give them props to Orlando. Again, the city beautiful. And, of course, we'll go into the closing matchup of the 0 hour. You had an 8-man tag featuring a whole different type of wrestlers. You had Action Andretti, you had Rouge, you had Kirsten Cage, RX Archer, Ty Flight, the Outrunners. There was a gumbo of all the. It felt like a Tony Khan reminds me of the Latina Tia, that when you're gathering with your cousins, they want you to all to gather in and scrum jump for la foto, the picture. Hey, let's take the picture, la foto, la foto. And they want to put everybody and their mother in the picture. So, even if you're a stranger or delivery guy delivering whatever on Uber Eats and you happen to be there, they'll include you in the photo. And that's what it feels like when 0 hour, especially some of the matches, especially this match, felt like you put everyone together. Oh, yeah, you get a match, you get a match. And this one kind of felt, well, your thoughts on this match, although it felt like that, but it wasn't a pretty bad match. I want to hear your thoughts.
It wasn't a bad match, but this... It wasn't my cup of tea. What I mean by that is it wasn't bad in terms of, okay, these guys didn't do anything outrageous, but see all these different styles. It looked like, excuse my language, but it looked like a little bit of a clusterfuck. Like so much, like you have Dante Martin, the Martins doing their high flying, and then you have Brian Cage who. Clearly, they were trying to do a little bit of everything all in one, and it kind of got messy, especially towards like that middle, towards the end, in my opinion. So it was. Doesn't
it feel like the aunt that wants to get all the cousins in on the photo?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like no, yeah, I 100%. It was too much. It was too much. Too much of these. They don't work together. I hope they don't do that again. They could have done something completely different for that 0 hour.
But it was a little entertaining, regardless of the fact that it sounds like we're making fun of it, but it was entertaining. I wanted to give a note that I noticed. I like that the VCRs had us on the Outrunners entrance. A kid of grew up as a young kid at the 90s, the Nintendo era, the 80s, the Nintendo era, Saturday Night's Main Event. And the VCR status with the Outrunners entrance was a good, smart idea where they do a lot of things that productive-wise, they make you raise your elbow. I got to call out the good stuff there. I thought personally, my touch, I enjoy that part from the entrance there from the Outrunners. Ethan says, next year, before when Jarrett retires, he should have one total push for the championship. I don't know what one, but I think it will make sense. We'll see if he gets a Continental opportunity or a All-Atlantic or the PBS championship. There's plenty of them there in AEW to choose from. We got the Samurai. What's up? Yo, Samurai Luther Perry is in the chat. Salute to you. Man, I haven't seen you, man, in a while. I hope you're doing well, my friend. So that it concludes the 0 hour of the pay-per-view. We go right into a hot start, the opening contest. The opener, none other than Kyle Fletcher versus, don't call him Hairspray, Will Ospreay. And here we go. My God, a matchup for the semifinals of the Continental Classic. And your thoughts here on this matchup here between these two. You first and foremost, would you have opened it with them?
Yeah. This was a great opener because Will Ospreay. This is a hot feud. The crowd loves Will Ospreay. Having him actually be the first entrance, the crowd was like, that is what made me was like, ugh, I should have went. But this is another great match in this rivalry. I honestly think this was better than the other one they had.
Really? Okay.
The bloody mess from Ospreay was, first off, he sells it later in the show, but that was, I didn't expect him to get that much blood all over him. These two, you can feel the hatred. This is a real story that one of probably the only stories that this company has going on. That is another reason why I thought it was good for it to go out first. These two tell a good story in the ring. And what I mean by that is, you have some of the. I'm not a big fan when a lot of the wrestlers in AEW do this, but with these two, I didn't mind where Styles Will Ospreay can hit like a Styles Clash, and Kyle Fletcher would kick out, but at the very last second, Kyle Fletcher would do his move. Ospreay kick. In this sequence, I didn't mind that because they waited till the kind of end to do it, and they told a really good match just they told a really good story in the match itself. But I was surprised when, Ospreay actually hit like his second Styles Clash and won it. I actually thought that was going to be another kick out. I just like the way he's been selling. He sold it. It's not one of those things where a lot of people like to do where they get blood out, cough, cough, John Moxley, where they're just like, oh, I'm indestructible. No, Will Ospreay was selling it. He looked hurt, and we'll see it later. But this is a great match. I was shocked on the finish, and I wonder what Kyle Fletcher is going to do in the future. And I just want people to give more of a respect for Kyle Fletcher because he has big things coming up. I mean, they're doing Grand Slam in his home country. Guys don't think he's going to get something big for that. So, good match. They need to follow up. They need to follow up. I cannot express it anymore because this has potential. That's really all I got for this.
I know I like what you hear. Mr. Ethan says, so for me, Will should have won all of it for the reason why I would say because the crowd loves him and he is popular as hell. And one thing that I want to say about Kyle versus him, I think at Grand Slam or Revolution, it should be Kyle versus Will. We'll find out. We'll find out with Tony Khan where he goes from there. Again, the pay-per-views is not the issue. It's the follow-up and the build-up or the aftermath of these pay-per-views that is the very underwhelming when it comes to All Elite Wrestling. But we'll talk about that at the end of this podcast review or this review program. And I love to keep the conversation going. If you're watching us on Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, Instagram Live, YouTube, Twitch, and on X, keep the conversation, join the conversation. Don't just be a spectator, be a participant, please, in the chat. We want to hear from you. We want to participate. We want to talk with you. We like talking, but we want to hear and we want to have a conversation the way Ethan keep it coming. And Luther, I know you're a big AEW watcher for different reasons, but please keep the conversation. Give me your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts there. As we had some lightning, I believe, in the Orlando area there. So if you see a little bit flurry, it's because we have some lightning and some bad weather here. Wow, 24 hours difference because people were waiting in line to go see the wrestling yesterday. So and thank God there's no rain. There would have been a wall smelling like even more like wet dogs if they would have got out there in the rain waiting. So here's my thoughts when it came to this match where I love and I'm like, wow, Tony Khan really loves wrestling. As much as we hate or malign him, I'm not a fan of him. But I want to give him his credit. He spent a lot of money. Welcome to the Jungle was used in the opening package. That was the big thing. That cost money for the rights for that, to put that up there. They started the match 100 miles an hour. Will Ospreay going quickly. I love that Fletcher slowed it down to it. Here's the thing that I am not a big fan of Will Ospreay matches. You were talking about the selling. Right now, I don't think Kyle Fletcher is in no position to say he's a made wrestler to be kicking out and not selling moves. Hairspray as well is another one who really he's just coming over from. And hey, I'm gonna be real and be raw. I'm gonna give you my thoughts. He's another one who just came from across the seas from New Japan. Yes, he has a lot of name fame, but he hasn't really kind of earned his American wrestling to be a no-sell. He's not a PCO for TNA. He's not an Undertaker. And I understand we can have a debate, and this is a hot take because I was having that with my son when he came last night, and I wish he would just stood. They had things to do. He was going to join us, and you know him from the UFC review with Oid. He has a UFC show here on this channel.
Nice,
and he's a big AEW fan. So I wanted him to speak because we had a really good conversation. I would have loved to have it shared with you guys on the internet or here on our platform, but we'll save that for another day. I don't like the fact that he's not a main guy yet to sell. When you don't that apron, and later on in the wrestling event, you see the whole apron removed, and you see how the hard parts of the wrestling mat is, the unforgivable part. When you get hit on that kind of apron, on that hard part, and then you come back and you're kicking out at 2, and you're doing that, and you're killing the integrity of the business. Because, and listen, we all know this is scripted. We all know this is an escape from a little bit from our everyday 9 to 5, from our reality, from pain, from in our physical, mentally, whatever the case is. Wrestling takes us to that euphoria of escape, just like a video game and all that stuff. Make it, yes, give us that little bit of theatrics of that selling and protect some of this stuff. And that's all we ask here. And yes, it's exciting seeing Will Hairspray do the standing Spanish fly and the reversals and stuff. But come on, just a bit. And maybe that's what makes Will Hairspray his unique wrestler, of why people enjoy him and love him. For me, being a wrestler, watching it since the beginning, beginning WrestleMania, and watching this product for over 4 years, I can see why the Cornette's myself. I'm not saying on Cornette, but guys at that part of wrestling kind of puts a little bit of an eyebrow frowned upon. But again, was it entertaining? Yes, I'm not gonna lie, it was entertaining. It was an entertaining match. The right guy go over? Yes. You know why I say yes again? Because now they're even at 1-1 in different pay-per-view events. You could revisit that rivalry still, and there's still a lot of meat on the bone. So they did a good job there. And I'm gonna read Ethan's, and we'll move on. I could easily say AEW fans haven't seen much of Will Ospreay because I watch Rev Pro, because he's local and he has more skills than what we see. We understand that and Ethan, absolutely, I agree with you there. But he has to get established here in the United States before we could say that he's that type of guy to be put on in any company's American wrestling company's Mount Rushmore. You could get that from a Sting. If Sting does that, you'd understand Stinger getting up from that. Even at the age that he's at now, you could understand that from Sting, because that's that longevity, that entertainment, that cachet when it comes to the wrestling business. Hairspray hasn't gotten it yet. He hasn't. Not yet. Doesn't mean that, and it doesn't mean he's never going to get there. No. It's not the point. It's too soon right now. You're going to get to that status, young man. You're going to get to it. People are going to, when the story is told of Will or Ospreay, I'm going to use your name instead of calling you Hairspray. You're going to say, yeah, that guy could have been a Mount Rushmore type of wrestler, but not yet right now, pal. Well, you got there's a little bit outage, so I might lose power in a minute because we get some thunderstorms. We'll go to the next matchup. Let's go to the next matchup since Mother Nature and The Undertaker didn't like that. Let's go right next to the next. The next matchup on the card is the second semifinal matchup between the Continental current champion Okada and Ricochet, like people are calling him these days. Now, for more ways than one. This matchup here between these two semifinals here, give me your thoughts. I saw a spot where you thought he was going to do a John Cena clothesline or run the ropes, and he just slaps a bald man in the back of the head. I was like, oh my God, how the mighty has fallen for Ricochet.
No, I thought this was a solid match. It was heel versus, what's the word, dynamic. I actually thought Ricochet controlled a little bit of the match a little more because he was more faster paced. Okada's really not kind of that wrestler. He's more of a quote unquote technical guy. But I enjoyed it. They definitely had chemistry from past matches they've had back in the old days. I definitely think the right guy got over. I don't think the right guy won at all. We'll talk more about that later. Ricochet, I don't see him doing much in AEW. Or what I mean by that is, if he's losing Continental Classic matches already, the crowd seems to really not. I truly don't think Ricochet in 2025, he has a real chance to really be a heel, but for people to really like Swerve last night really said the truth. You know, who do you think you are? And Johnny, I agree. I can't wait to see Ricochet versus Swerve either, because what Swerve said yesterday after the match was true. Swerve said, who do you think you are, going online and saying that without you, AEW wouldn't be built. Now I get why Ricochet says shit like that. You know, he loves it. He loves it. And then Swerve comes at him. Oh, now ever since you left the other place, all you do is talk online with the fans on Twitter. Like, I can't get behind a guy like Ricochet when everything this guy just said about him was right. And I know I'm going a little bit off of the match.
No,
second,
stay with it.
I just wanted to point that out. But it was okay. I mean, I liked Okada finishing, the win with the simple Rainmaker. It wasn't like we saw the match before. I think the trash talking is going to make Ricochet good, but I just don't see him becoming like a world champion. I see him in a high, like in WWE, people always wanted him to be in like the higher mid card. I think that's where Ricochet will be in AEW, because he just doesn't. So far, he hasn't impressed me. But this match was good. But I mostly think the match was good because Okada was there to slow him down. And because if Ricochet was in the ring with Ospreay, Swerve right there, maybe like a Kyle Fletcher, the match would be too fast-paced to where sometimes, including myself, and I love shit like that, where it's like, where do you go? Where do you go? Like, where did you just go? No, Okada was there to kind of slow him down a little bit, do some simple locks. But, yeah, take it away, Kev.
No, I like what you were saying there. One thing I noticed from Okada, I love Okada, but he has not come out with his extravagant, lavishing robes that he did when he came out in Wrestle Kingdom in New Japan. He's kind of coming out with the generic black, and he's looking, and you could tell he's living too much in the States because they're a little pudgy. I was like, ooh, Okada, you don't look your normal cut self, lean, Yeah, I don't understand with age you put some weight on and all that stuff. I get it. But doesn't take away from the match. This matchup was great. I love the fact when Prince Nana comes out with the toilet paper. Here's the thing. It's a slippery slope. This one, and I don't want to sound like the old man get off my lawn take here, but it's going to sound like it. All Elite Wrestling could be opening themselves up to an issue. Kudos to the UCF crowd, and I saw that at the end of the show with not the crowd, but the security in the crowd to prevent anything happening because look, Florida is where everything started with the garbage being thrown in the NWO in Deltona. If you remember that, if you look down the history in wrestling, where the NWO and Hulk Hogan turned, that's when all the trash and crap was coming into the ring. I know Hammerstein started with the toilet paper and throwing at Ricochet, but Nana coming out encouraging and giving the fans to throw toilet paper at Ricochet. Kudos that Ricochet embraced I don't know if they passed it or he gave the green light, whatever the case was, to embrace that, throw the toilet paper in the ring towards him, the taunting. But you're encouraging fans to throw now water bottles or XYZ later down the road in the show when they don't like something, because Nana gave you the permission to throw toilet paper before. So it's a slippery slope in this time of day, because you give an inch, people take a yard. And that's the last thing you want to do. Again, I don't want to sound like the old man get off my lawn. I don't.
No, I agree.
I want people to have fun. I want to have people to have fun and enjoy the wrestling. And also, this wasn't a place to be controlled. Maybe this is where the location, right? People used to throw chairs in ECW, absolutely, and that looked great on television. But just imagine you getting hit in the back of the head with a chair now, and the way lawsuits and people are so finicky and so snowflake in 2024, 2025. Then Khan will get sued, then the wrestling company and all that. There's so many Johnny B come lately lawyers that want to get their sleazy hands on money. But we're going off topic. Let's stick with the wrestling here. And I like that they control the environment there. Prince Nana coming out, it was a great moment. He embraced it. Seeing Okada survive and beating Ricochet, it was the right guy over because he's the current champion. You want your current champion defending that title in that tournament as long as possible, to get to the finals, at least to the finals. Now, if there's gonna be a year maybe where there's gonna be an upset in the semifinals. The champion gets picked off, but not this year. Not with Okada, who hasn't really his title run hasn't been really. It's been underwhelming until this classic here, this Continental Classic for All Elite Wrestling. One thing I loved about this, we're talking about the second match here on the main card. And every match from here, every match in this card, and I want to give it All Elite Wrestling. I'm going to wait for the end of the watch of this review to say it, but I'm going to say it now. Every match in this card had implication to something, a title or stipulation. But here's the one I'm going to put a pin to that. But there's going to be a but to this. And I'll wait for that when we finish reviewing the whole thing and when I get back to that. That's a two-parter, so you can stick around with cliffhanger. For me, I think Ricochet and Okada was too short to rate. It was because, and that's another thing, I was told the UCF, Ed Addison, had a time limit for AEW to get out. They did it before there, and they didn't like the fact that they left extremely late because here's a secret. In Florida, and especially in Orlando, they don't like to pay overtime to staff workers that are working the arenas. They want them out by a certain time. They hate paying overtime, even if they're willing to pay. Companies hate to pay overtime. They don't want to pay overtime. That's another company. That's another thing. Has nothing to do with wrestling. It's about economics. They want to make sure Khan wraps this up by a certain hour. You can't have the media scrum. You notice the media scrum went like this, and it was ridiculous. It was short because the building dictates when your show gets pulled out and you have to get to it. So yeah, that's another thing. Okay, so we'll get back to this wrestling. I thought the match, the right guy went over, the right pop. I like to see Swerve. Of course, notice we didn't see nothing of the Hurt Business. No Hurt Business whatsoever. Just your newly signed guys that you were getting all excited, enamored. Wasn't seen, but we'll see. No, it happens, Johnny. It even happens in Madison Square Garden. Madison Square Garden, if you pass 10:30 or you get to 11, you have to pay time and a half. They're willing to pay that. Tony Khan, I bet if they tell him if he wants to rent the building until 2 in the morning, they will. But the building sometimes don't like paying their workers that time and a half. It's the building. It's a whole separate issue. It's not the wrestling company's fault. It's another whole separate issue. That's why I didn't kind of want to say it because it was going to open up another can of worms. But it's not Tony Khan. It's not as much as, again, it's the whole different thing. All right, let's go to this first matchup here. In a matchup here that I had me scratching my head. Let me ask this, Chris. Where was this event taking place last night?
The University of Central Florida in Orlando.
Orlando. Why the fuck? And I'm gonna use the word fuck. They're calling this a Tijuana street fight. Seriously.
I said the same thing, Kev.
No, mommy, wait. You want to talk to Tijuana? No offense. No offense. Come on, man. What are you trying to say? The Hispanics here in Orlando from Tijuana? Come on, man. We're gumbo of all different Hispanic people. Come on, no mommy, wait. No jodas. Get Tijuana street fight. Man, I'm glad. By the way, this is my review of this. I'm glad you lost on the Rosa. Seriously. For even suggesting a Tijuana street fight. Vete a la mierda.
I agree.
I don't even want to review it.
No, I agree because the match first off was horrible. I didn't like the match at all. I hate when the women in AEW try to do this hardcore BS. It always just looks phony. That's what this match was. It was phony.
Yes.
Ever since Thunder Rosa, te amo. I love you. I love you. But ever since you came back, this is all you've been trying to do. Why are you trying to do matches like this all the time? Why are you trying to be this hardcore, women's wrestler? For what? You were so much better when you weren't that. When you were just doing promos, you were the underdog babyface, and she's great in the ring. Thunder Rosa is good in the ring, but when she's going out and doing shit like that, in street fights, it makes her look kind of stupid. And Mariah May, I don't think she's developed enough or good enough to be having a match like this. So she needs to be working. Mariah May needs to be working on her in-ring technicality instead of going out there and hitting bitches with steel chairs and stuff. Like, I'm sorry to say that, but it's like you have to do something better. This is your women's world championship. You have the mid-card title supposedly, and the mid-card women's match is better. The women's division in AEW has been rotten in 2024. Rotten. AEW women hardcore matches are usually the best in the I disagree. I mean, Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker had their one nice little cage match. I enjoyed it. But when Anna Jay and Julia Hart going out there and doing hardcore matches, yeah, no thanks. I'd rather see Jada Parker and Lola Vice on NXT on the other channel.
The one hardcore match that I'm gonna give you, Johnny, was the one Deonna Purrazzo fought, and no one. And here's the problem: nobody watched it. It was on Catastrophe.
Yeah, shout out to Deonna Purrazzo. She was in TNA. She knows how to have matches like those. I forgot about her. I'll give her the pass too, because she's been in the Knockouts division. She's had matches like that in TNA against better opponent. TNA, the Knockouts division, in my opinion, has better women against better women in that roster, especially the time that Deonna was there. So yeah, shout out to her. It's just, this wasn't my cup of coffee, like Kev likes to say. I didn't like that. This, like, it all from the name, from the match, it was probably the worst match of the night, in my opinion.
The name killed it. The name killed it off. You would have said a street fight. Just leave it as a simple street fight. That's it.
You could have done an street fight. Screw it.
It would have been, give me a UCF street fight, or you know what, Central Florida street fight. You don't want to be Orlando. You just give it something. Give it something, but not that. Not Tijuana. We're not in Tijuana, man. Come on, stop. Read the room. So next week they're going to be in Charlotte. So they're going to have a Paris, France street fight in North Carolina.
They have a South Carolina
street fight, because we're gonna have a French Canadian wrestler, wrestle on Dynamite next week. So we're gonna have a Montreal street fight in North Carolina. Come on, man. Come on.
She named the match after herself, and she didn't even win.
Deja eso. You even got speaking Spanglish. Deja eso, Thunder, bro. And then you're making more insult. And then listen. You don't want people to be stereotypical. When do you come out with a fucking piñata?
Oh my God, yeah. And she, you know what, Kev? She was the same person that on a couple years ago. I don't want to make this too long, but on a couple of years ago, she went out on a podcast or on something, and she talked so much mierda about how Brock Lesnar against Eddie Guerrero went out there and made fun with the thing. Yes. She's doing it right now. But it's okay because she's Mexican.
Ponte respeto.
Exactly. Come on now.
So it would have been okay for next week on TNA. We're gonna have a coquito on a stick match with Mike Santana. So he's gonna come out, God. Like that. Or the winner wins. If Mike Santana wins, he gets to drink his Mavi. Come on, man, get eso. Come on, stop. Come on. Yeah, a London street fight with Will Ospreay. Yeah, Will Ospreay's gonna have a London street fight in North Carolina against Kyle Fletcher. Come on, they're not in London. What's that supposed to mean? A street fight's a street fight. You're fighting in the street, no matter what. En la calle, anything goes. You pick up a piece of rock, you use anything. Come on. Boba Fett's gonna have a Nigerian street fight. Come on, deja eso. That was so dumb. I found that was the first disconnect of the night when it came to. And let's not stick with that because we're giving Thunder Rosa too much time. Off to Collision you go or whatever or see you later. Goodbye. Have a nice one. Hopefully you'll enjoy the catering with Serena D. So we'll move on to the next one. Here we go. In a good matchup, or a matchup that we're going to have a lot of criticism here, Adam Cole versus MJF for the the Dynamite Diamond Ring. So here's another match that has some implication, though. As much as it sounds like I'm trying to be sarcastic, no, there was some implications. There was some meaning to this match because they're fighting for $1. No, what's it called? If you buy it on Amazon, it's $19.99 or $199, whatever the fridge it is. Diamond ring that is not even gold plated. But this is a storyline that happened last year with Adam Cole with his foot. You know, he couldn't walk down the ramp. He broke his foot, shattered it in 1,000 pieces. Into the most anticlimactic ending with the devil reveal. But they're finally going to get here to get to touch. Your thoughts? The match, MJF psychology-wise, is the douchebag that you want to see his teeth be kicked in. Give me your thoughts on the match.
First off, shout out to my guy Adam Cole, baby. He's the only AEW wrestler I ever bought merch from. Because he's actually from like right down the road in Lancaster. So shout out to Adam Cole. But their all-in match at main event, or the all-in main event they had last year was better than this match. Now the psychology between them two's there. They had that long run, you know, where they had, you know, they were best friends. They did those corny vignettes. Now this is kind of what the match. This should have been the match last year or 2 years ago at All In when it's Ring versus Streak. This should have been the match.
He's on fire.
This should have been the sequence when they had their All In main event, right? Where at the All In main event they were just best friends having the match. No, this time it was heel versus babyface. They could have done this years ago. The match wasn't bad. Like I enjoyed the match. MJF should. I feel really bad for MJF because there's so much that could be done with him, but instead of he's having another match with Adam Cole. Look, I love Adam Cole. I'm not here to shit talk on Adam Cole, but his injuries have, you know, just made him not what he used to be, especially that guy that we thought he was going to be coming into AEW, because he really has not done much since he's come. And it's been, I don't even know how long it's been now, like 4 or 5. He's been there for like 4 years now. I love how MJF just does the thing with the crowd. You know, him interacting with the crowd and like saying F you and doing this. It's so good because we don't see nobody really doing that. And it's, you know, that thing between matches you do that makes the crowd go crazy. MJF does that, in my opinion, better than anybody in the entire company. So I liked it. The right guy won. I just don't get this whole diamond ring thing at this point. It means nothing. MJF defends it like once a year. Like you said, you can probably find it on Amazon. So it wasn't anything special, but they're really good in the ring together. And I like what it could be maybe, but I think they need to move on from this in the future.
I've got one, and I'm looking for my gimmick ring. I have one. I have it. I have one exactly. But it doesn't say AEW, but it's a gimmick ring just like that. Damn it. I have it. I usually keep it around so I can put it. It's a gimmick ring, but anyway.
I need to get my glasses. 1 second.
Nevertheless, let me read Ethan's Kings. I love how they made Mike Bennett and Matt Taven the heroes and MJF the heel. Then the fact that MJF shouted, "Stop my music," and I want to hear everyone hear me break the effing leg. The match was good, but it could have been better for a couple more comedy type things with MJF and the stairs. Okay, hopefully MJF gets back to feuding with Danny Garcia over TNT title, and hopefully he should go next for Adam Cole. What should be next for Adam Cole? This is one thing I don't think they're gonna. To be honest with you, I think they're gonna continue putting legs to this. I think they're going to continue they're going to have more legs to this feud. It's underwhelming, to be honest with you. Adam Cole, he's a great wrestler. You know what he could bring, but we're just waiting to hear injured again. Unfortunately. We're waiting to see if he's going to get hurt again. MJF, he looks like he's slowly transitioning to that type of specialty novelty wrestler that's going to wrestle here and there and doing more movies. Maybe we're not going to see him much more in the ring, maybe, but big task at hand. Salute, big task. Salute. Big task. I got good news. We're going to talk some Knicks later on tonight. I'm going to do a live stream tonight. We're going to talk about the 55 points for Jalen Brunson. So I just wanted to put a sign on there. But stick around. Just wait for the notification. Ooh, the Giants won. Oh, someone's not going to be happy. So we'll move on here. We'll talk about this. Well, here's one thing I'm going to talk about you, Chris. Seeing tape, both Bennett and Tevin. Now with Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, could we give the Undisputed Era? Give it a break. Stop with it. It's not going to work in AEW.
I agree. It's not going to work in AEW.
That's not going to work.
They had their moment in NXT. It worked then because they were the hottest act. They're no longer going to be the hottest act. No longer are they the hottest act. Not even
with the Hurt business. Close. You got the Hurt business that the fans are going crazy to want to see. Then you got this Rough Rider situation going on, or Death Riders, whatever the hell they want to call themselves. And now you got the FT Boer and Adam Copeland together. So
you got
now
the
that's a little
FTR
bit
now. So yeah,
them too. Yeah, so and others, I don't know where Undisputed Kingdom era, whatever they want to call themselves, is really going to fit. And I think that both that ship and that momentum is sailed for Adam Cole and the group. Doesn't mean he's not going to get over, because people still want to scream out "Bebe." They like that. I got to give it to him. He depending where in the crowd and depending where they're at, he still gets a pop. This is where people get frustrated when it comes to the creative of the company, because if they creatively put a story, you could heat up properly done Adam Cole too, because he could be an uber babyface. And especially when AEW needs the uber babyface currently right now, younger uber babyface, it's just like they kind of missing out the picture. Yes, and boom, there you go, and the boom. And of course, be careful because the Costco guy is coming for that boom.
My God, yeah, I know.
And then seeing that he was going to hurt, when I saw Kyle O'Reilly and I thought Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong, was going to come out, and I thought they were going to turn on Adam, because you kind of had MJF by himself. You still had Taven and you had Bennett, so it would have been 3-on-3. I said, here's AEW doing something here where we think it's a swerve, but no, they all left together. It kind of was like, huh? Like, okay, where do we go now here? So it kind of felt a little bit like, okay, am I missing something here? But no, that's the way they went with it, and all right, so we were invested on that. We'll move on to the next one. In another match that had some implication, it was the coach name Takeshita taking on Power Hobbs. I was going to say Power Hobbs, but he's taking on him for the AEW International Championship. For Powerhouse Bob, I don't watch this too much. Was there a build? I'm going to ask you, Chris. Was there a build for Takeshita and Powerhouse? I didn't even know Powerhouse was back. I thought he was still in the land of injury or not seen on television.
There was a little bit, but I didn't catch too much of it either. I haven't had time to watch AEW the past couple of weeks. I just wanted to make sure I watched the pay-per-view. So I think so. It's something to do with the Don Callis family.
Okay.
So it did make a little bit of sense. Maybe somebody in the chat could help me out a little bit more with that one. But I think it has something to really do. The build-up happened on Collision. Okay.
Okay.
That's
so don't worry.
Why
Sorry.
I didn't see it.
No, don't
Thank
worry.
you, Johnny.
You and a lot of people haven't seen it. Let me ask the question. There was no Don Callis. Did he get injured, or wasn't able to? Did he just happen to be with family? I didn't think we saw Don Callis throughout the show, and I kind of missed him because I'm gonna make a statement later on with Don Callis. He's very valuable for the company. I really enjoyed Don Callis. Interesting to see with him. Didn't see him out there or didn't felt his presence in this pay-per-view for Don Callis. This match here, I saw this match sporadically. I thought, to me, when the times that I saw this match, I thought this was Powerhouse's best matchup of his AEW career, believe it or not. Just to see him
with Takeshita, that's why these two. I'm sorry to interrupt, but these two. The booking that Tony Khan does with these two pisses me off so much, because these two, and I'm happy these two had their match together, because These two, in my opinion, and Cornette, shout out to my guy Jim Cornette. He says this all the time. These two could really be something. Takeshita is so good in the ring. He can do many styles, multiple styles. He can do technical. He can fly. He's great with it. He does the better Shinsuke. And Shinsuke goes out there and tries to do the Japanese promos. Hot take, everybody watching. I think he does that better than. I think Takeshita does those type of promos better than Shinsuke Nakamura does. So they have something here. And Powerhouse Hobbs has size. He has, when he's a heel, when he was doing those vignettes back in the day, when he was next to Hook back in the day, oh my God, he had something. He had something, and then Tony Khan just screwed it up by not booking him. And then when they book him alongside people who frankly don't mean shit. So the reason I'm not surprised why you say that this was Powerhouse's best match of his AEW career, because I don't disagree with that, because he had this match with Takeshita. He hasn't had a match. Again, somebody in the chat could maybe think of somebody that Powerhouse has had a better match against. He hasn't. This was his best match, his best opponent, not even just best match, best opponent. Good match. Right guy still won, but these two, get him in the NXT system, please. Please get them in the NXT system, because they could be stars. I think Takeshita could be better than Shinsuke. I really do. But I'm going to let you take it ahead, Kev.
No, good. I love it, because here's what I like about Tenoshi Takeshita. He is tall. He's like 6'5". He's a big guy. It worked well with Powerhouse, because Powerhouse, he's a big man himself. He is like a ultra light version of a Big E. I'm not saying he's Big E, but he kind of, just by stature and physique, not because of color, but about physique. The way he's built, looks like a Big E wrestler there. And to see them in that match there, I know some people say it was a little methodical pace. No, I loved it, because they were selling more. They sold the most. And they sold the most, and they sold even more than any of the matches on the whole card. From the selling of the knee injury, most of the match, I love that, because you know what? He didn't forget about it. Oh yeah. It was my left knee. No, my right knee. He kept it. He kept the psychology and protected the wrestling business with that methodical pace there. And of course, they're two big men. You're talking about two monsters against monsters. You had that Braun Strowman match. With Rick Monster Meat, this is like that kind of little bit of a version there, because Takeshita is not no little guy again, and the way they move and how they fought, it was a tough battle between those two men that I appreciate, because it wasn't gonna in a card where you're gonna have a lot of gymnastics with Ricochet and Will Ospreay and all this, and now this no selling. This was a typical refreshing, clean victory for Takeshita to get on Hobbs, and I loved it, because he retained his title. The match was so A+. To me, my favorite match of the night, personally, for being a wrestling watcher for so many years, of everything there. And I thought this was Takeshita's best match there. It was, telling us that Hobbs been out for several months because of the knee, so he took his time there with that, selling that knee, not coming in looking Hulkalian, and that's a guy who could no-sell a move. If you powerbomb him and a big guy like a Powerhouse pops, you guys are like, oh, damn. But they didn't. That was my point with that. And that's the contrast and the quirks and the dislike that I have with AEW with the others. This year, refreshing to me. I love this match. Match to me, my favorite one of the night. And the right guy went over still. I love Powerhouse Hobbs. He's been an injury wrestler, injury prone wrestler at times for him, when they want to put the skyrocket or the rocket ship to him, and it just stops him down. He's stuck in neutral, but he's a draw. Whenever you see him, you're like, damn, I want to see some of his matches. We want to see him getting better and better year after year, but he's got to stay healthy. Hopefully 2025 he can stay healthy. And Takeshita, he's got Don Callis. Hopefully he continues to excel in the company where he doesn't get stuck at the upper mid-card level. with the titles. Maybe one day he'll get an opportunity to actually hold All Elite Wrestling World title. But right now, that's a log jam for him. You know, there's still time. We'll see where that goes for Takeshita, all that. And again, the freaking suplexes that both men, you know, and look, shit happens when they both lost their balance in the corner trying to get set up for the superplex. Shit happens. You know what? I'm not going to kill them because they're two big men trying to entertain us. Ooh and why. You know, I'm not going to go, oh, no, but. It was, dude, it was to me, despite that hiccup, to me, still the best match of the night, in my opinion, Chris. I really loved it.
Yeah.
Hey, it is what it is. We'll go into the, 3 female matches. You had the one in the 0 hour, you had the world title, now you have the PBS World Champion, Mercedes, don't call me Balea Mone, taking on Chris Statlander in a matchup here. This is the rematch between these two ladies, the PBS title on the line. Chris, who did you like in this match? What didn't you like? What was your thoughts for Miss Balea? Did she win?
So I've never had a problem with Mercedes' in-ring work. I think this was an okay match. Chris Statlander is another one of those people in the company where I think has so much potential. If they were booked better, but in a better system, they could really be something. But I didn't mind this. Statlander had control of the match for a while until Mercedes eventually got it, which we knew that was going to happen. I don't know. I kind of liked how it was the big girl versus the little girl. You're not saying Statlander's big, but she's strong. She has the size. She's what?
She's an Amazon.
You know, what was I gonna say? Fuck. Oh yeah. Mercedes worked a lot of her submission in this match. That's really her style. That's kind of why I wanted to see how this match works, because Chris Statlander loves to slam and do the big, you know, grabs, while Mercedes likes to control those submission moves and have them on the ground for most of the part, in which she really did. Mercedes executed on her stuff. I really just criticize her character. I don't like the whole.
Ugh, that's cringe.
Like, that shit's so stupid, bro. Like,
yeah, it is.
I hate it. It's over.
You're better than that.
I hate it. Like,
is it? Is it over for the right reasons?
It's over for the wrong reasons. But I'm saying, like, there's, like, I've seen, like, I mean, I already know what you're gonna say when I say this, but Will Ospreay's doing it. Like, I think like Stephanie Vaki, like a lot of these people and like wrestlers did it on TikTok when they were like in that, like, near her. Maybe she just forced them to do it. I don't know, for content. That's probably what it was. I think it's super cringe. I think she's super cringe, but the reality is I'm gonna give her props because she's never bad inside of the ring. But yeah, this was an obviously Mercedes isn't going to lose that title. You know, I hope Statlander gets into that. AEW has better dicks. Sorry, that comment kind of threw me off a little bit. I really hope Statlander, this was Statlander's little, not push, but I hope, you know, with her getting that little standing ovation, with her, you know, the crowd finally recognizing what she could be and what she is, I hope she finally will be the next challenger, or one of the next challengers for Mariah May's world title. Hopefully she'll be the next one, because she's her and Will and Ango are really one of my favorites in the company. But clean match, the pinning wasn't the cleanest, but it wasn't the worst. Decent rematch. Nothing horrible to say.
All right. I saw this match and I kind of was like, damn, I've seen some of this spots before. And then thanks to my guy, Powerful King, on Twitter. This is the match between Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks in WrestleMania, the Tampa WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Are we Mercedes Hogan Is that what we're doing now? Copying matches from
I saw that
past
one clip you
WrestleMania?
posted, and I was like, damn, I didn't even realize they did that.
Seriously? Come on. You're this in-ring technician that's supposed to be one of the greatest women's wrestler now in all of the wrestling. By the way, 20 minutes long, one of the longest women's matches. I got to give them credit.
Oh, ridiculous. I forgot to say that too, yeah.
It was great for her. Good job there. The series of suplex for Mercedes at least got the crowd going. It was really good to see them going back and forth on that. Some of that Mone's baseball slide drop kick looked kind of a little bit wonky there. It kind of looked like it might have hurt Statlander. Like it wasn't the cleanest, but still they sold it well. If it wasn't, that was a great sell on Statlander. I love the fact that they showing these different contrasts. Her in-ring, Mercedes in-ring, different pin combination, mat wrestling, trying to take on the powerhouse of Statlander being the stronger women. At the end of the day, regardless of who won, I know some people will say, here goes, I got creative control, brother. Mercedes Moné beating Statlander. But you know what? I'm not going to get mad for Moné winning here because Statlander took a very important prestige record away from the undefeated streak of Jade Cargill. I don't know if they were going to allow her to take Mercedes Moné title run off here in AEW to have two big type of feet to bring. I think the one that should be doing that, it should be Willa Nightingale. Willa Nightingale is your baby face of the company. She is your female version of Bianca Belair / John Cena of All Elite Wrestling. They marketed it correctly with Willa Nightingale, which again, that's Tony Khan we're talking about. So he, if he wakes up with a wild hair up his ass, he's gonna book it differently. But he should be putting his baby face all in face of the company. Is not Tony Storm. It's Willa Nightingale. Little girls want to look like or act like Willa Nightingale. She gets the crowd going. She's a baby face that you can send her to do media and all that good stuff when it comes to that. And she's safe. Willa Nightingale is marketable. It's marketable. It's commercial, and she's a great wrestler with the baby. Selling a story from the comeback and so forth. I know I'm going away from the match there, but I think it should be Willa Nightingale to take the privilege and beating the negative, nasty, or the hate of the AEW fan. Plus, you're using an AEW original that you homegrown in Willa Nightingale to beat Mercedes Moné. And then let her go up to the world title afterwards. I mean, dual champion, and then they could do one of his favorite announcing a tournament on a special announcement that he likes to do on Dynamite or whatever the case is. If I was to have creative pencil, I would go that route because Willa is that, with that. And then maybe her first title, maybe Camille is another one that could come back and challenge, after the title's off of there, or have Camille cause Mercedes a distraction and lose that title to Willa and so forth, with that off to the races. But all in all, we'll move on here for the ladies. I wish they would not copy and paste some of the matches from WWE, some of the old matches, because you're kind of doing rehearsal. It makes me wonder what the hell the coaching and the producers are doing over there in that company. We'll go on now to the finals of the Continental Classic tournament, and it's going to be none other than Okada taking on the one and only. Oh, that's Will Ospreay. That's Ricochet. So let's go right into that. Let me give you your thought. This is the finals. The defending champion makes the finals here in a match where we see Will Hairspray come out all bloody, tape, bandaged up. Dude didn't even hit the showers. At least let me rinse off the dry ass blood. And then he goes, hugs the little kid in the front row. I mean, my goodness, hepatitis, he's spreading all over the place there. Tuberculosis, yada, yada. But still, COVID, man, that was your match of the night. All right. I wish they had more time tonight, the Ospreay. And I know you have a lot of thoughts on this here, Chris. Go for it.
So, I'm not going to be biased. That's just not fair. I'm going to have to give my honest opinion about this one. As much as I love Ospreay, as much as I love Okada, as much as I love these guys' history at New Japan, I'm one of those guys. I watch the New Japan stuff on AEW, so I know the history they have. Your match of the night, Johnny, respect. It was a good match. But I didn't like that they did this match on that night. I'm going to tell you why. First off, When I said earlier about Ospreay selling, this is what I meant. He came out to the ring. He didn't go out to the ring and go, Ospreay.
He was just,
No, he came out and looked actually like he just got beat the hell up. That's kind of what I meant about selling it.
no, I know you said later on in the match, and I was waiting for you for that.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I meant because he legit looked like he was busted up. I knew Okada was gonna win. He rightfully won. Obviously, it was still a good match. You know, these guys have such good. Again, I talked a lot. I said, excuse me, the quote. A lot of the things I said today. Dance partners. These guys are great dance partners. Have great chemistry in the ring together. I know somebody, maybe Johnny, it was you who's in the chat who said you wish it had a little more time. I respectfully disagree. I kind of think it was at the good timing because if this match would have had a little more time, it would have just been Will Ospreay going out there and doing the moves that he does. That to me I would have taken the thing I said about him selling it back because he didn't really do too much that he looked beat up. Now if he's going out there and doing Spanish springboards and doing all that, then that's a problem because then that's phony. You're insulting my intelligence. But I didn't see too much of that in this match, and maybe I have to go rewatch it. But I didn't see too much of that in this match, which is why I thought this match was okay, and it was good for what it was. Okada's coming off strong off a big win. Obviously, we know he's gonna get the win. So they did some reality of that, not having Will Ospreay go out there and be that hero who just got his ass kicked and is the Continental Champion. No, they didn't do that, which was good. So there's nothing too much to complain about. It's not my match of the night personally, but it was okay. And I'll let Kev go because what happened after was phenomenal.
No, this match, we're seeing Ospreay come out all bloody and endeared. He was trying to get over with the crowd, and you like you said, damn, I don't know if they're gonna have Okada drop this title to Ospreay due to the fact that Ospreay got to this final, but then like Tony Khan is very conscious of what people say to him on X, on what is being said, what is being negative, if it's negative or good publicity or get people over. He listens. His Twitter fingers and his ears are on X a lot. And people have been saying that Okada's sign with the AEW hasn't been overwhelming. It's been really underwhelming. It hasn't been done much. Also, and I fear this because he kind of books kind of like contrasting with WWE. Nakamura is the United States champion, and I got to keep Okada as the champion. I kind of felt that was a little bit in play to his booking decision. I think Ospreay could have won. It would have been nice to see Ospreay win. The crowd would have been great because wrestling is about making moments for your wrestling fans, and he does that too. He caters to that audience, at the crowd there. I was surprised there. I'm not going to take anything away from Ospreay, but who couldn't work with Okada. He couldn't work with Okada. Okay, that he didn't like the match.
Who can't work with Okada?
But who could work with Okada?
So is he? I'm not trying to take away anything from Ospreay, but who can't work with Okada? So is he saying like, but who can't work with Okada?
I don't know his tone on that one. That's a good question. Because the right person win because what you said, Chris, they set up what came afterwards. Fallen who comes out, said he can't award the title presentation. And I know they took a long time. Like, what? And then the match, it felt like the aftermath of the match took longer than the match itself. I thought the match was a little rushed too. Thought it was kind of quick. But then I'm like, why are they taking so long? Get out of the ring already. All right, God. I mean, he's bleeding. He's almost, here's Doc Sampson. He's clear. He's got a pulse. He could wrestle. I'm like, what's going on? They set it up with, they were bringing back Kenny Omega returns as an EVP. Kenny Omega looked great. He looked great. I'm like, wow, not for nothing. He does look great. He looks in shape. He looks kind of different. And coming out there and kind of gives the title, kind of teasing Omega and Okada in All Elite Wrestling, which is kind of sucks because it felt like you just gave two big middle fingers to Wrestle Kingdom. They're coming up this Saturday. And it felt like we got your talent. They're gonna put wrestling on our platform, and forbidden door this, motherfuckers. That's what it felt like. Watching that, I was like, damn, they really shitted on Wrestle Kingdom, because none of these guys are gonna be there, and that card is underwhelming and yada yada. And man, so it was good to see Kenny Omega back. Great, the crowd loved it. Hearing the Kenny chants, setting up Okada possibly in that Texas show. They need to get butts in the seats. They're very underperforming in ticket sales. You tease Okada and Omega, and you want to put a triple threat with Hairspray, then you got something cooking there. But this, for that title again, they could borrow a little bit from the WWE for a ladder match. You never know. Anything can happen.
I agree. And Heel said you're right, Chris, the way I meant it. Okay, yeah. So no, I agree with you, Heel. That's what kind of makes Okada kind of great, is that he can put good matches with a lot of people, and it makes a lot of the people going in the ring with Okada look good as well. I just think it's a little different with him and Ospreay, because they've had this match so many times in New Japan, and you probably know that as well. But yeah, Okada can work with a lot of different people. That's what makes him good.
His style is good. He just got it. Again, I saw Okada a little pudgy. Kind of would like him to get into more slim shape. But AEW needs to do more press and interviews. They need to do promotion. We'll definitely get into that in a second. There. Let's go to the main event. The big main event here. Setting up here. Fatal 4-way. Jon Moxley, Adam Page, Orange Cassidy, and Jay White. And for a main event, you were excited. It's going to be the main event whenever there's a main event. But I'm going to be honest with you. This is a problem at All Elite Wrestling. They got it. And as many people complain about WWE, but here's what I appreciate and coming to watch All Elite Wrestling right now. WWE, every few years, they'll change their broadcast team. They try to put Kevin Patrick was a snooze fest. Jimmy Stewart was not good. Yes, Michael Cole has been the staple there, but flip-flopping and changing announcers. He's a legend. Don't get me wrong. This is a hot take. He's a hell of a legend. He's a wrestling legend. He's people's voices of their childhood. But it's time for Jim Ross to put down the microphone. And Tony Schiavone. They both are boring and corny as
all three of them are boring.
Yeah. That main event. Yeah, guys, I really love it, guys. This is one of the best wrestlers in the world, guys. That's Tony Schiavone. Get the fuck out of TV. Get off the microphone, pal. And Jim Ross, it felt like he's getting, and it's age. He's a little behind him. Can't keep up with the word sharpness. And he's a legend. Don't get me wrong. But also, it feels out of touch. You got to go with younger. You've got Nigel McGuinness there. Use him. You had a couple guys from Ring of Honor guys were pretty good. I could tolerate the best tolerate.
Use the pre-show guys to do commentary, like Renee and Jarrett and RJ City. Screw it. They're better than Excalibur.
Even Jericho is good on the microphone. McGuinness is very good on commentary, Ethan.
Yes, McGuinness, yes.
McGuinness is good. He works the heel angle. He knows how to be a heel commentary. And I don't listen too much of the product. I tell you, I don't like it. And Jim Ross is a hell of an announcer. Yes, if you talk about wrestling history, when you talk about the history and the announcers, he's there. He's one of those top Rushmore guys. Time has passed him. He's it's not his fault. It's age. It's okay for him to be part of but not the main event he shouldn't, it's not the main event. They just don't mesh. Excalibur, changing the names of the wrestling moves, you start rolling your eyes when you hear a move. It's a fucking clothesline or a body slam. It's not he changes the names of the stuff. That's not my issue. It's the other guys are out of touch. They got it. Wrestling is a visual and it's a visual and a also hears you. They got to get you invested. If they're a snoop, they're gonna turn away and they're gonna walk. They're gonna watch something else. Now these days, when everyone has something on their phone and being distracted, you gotta have them. They gotta do something about that broadcast team. It's not working. And to me, it took away a lot from this main event, in my opinion. Again, Jericho doing commentary sounds perfect. Yeah. He could do, and also that's why I mentioned about Don Callis. Don Callis is another one on commentary. Is awesome. That's why I was like, where was he? And I know he has no stake in the main event. None of his family members or that he's managing is supposed to be there. But still, would have loved that to be there and say, "I'm scouting this out for Takeshita," and it's just a way of keeping Callis on the main event just to call the matches. It's like he's scouting or watching, checking down the world title picture, teasing something, and also, giving hints for planting a seed. Wrestling is about planting seeds and storylines. They don't have nothing. You had these guys. It was like the main event, entertaining. There was a lot of shenanigans with the Death Riders. It felt like a Survivor Series type of deal with Death Riders versus Adam Page versus Orange Cassidy versus Jay White. And then what didn't make sense, they show Hook and the Hook was in a suite. Okay, hey, and then Kirsten Cage is sitting there with the Waffle House menu. I'm like, what are we doing? What I understand you have like that call your shot or your contract, the contract just standing there. Shouldn't you be near the ringside with that planning? So you're going to walk down to try to cash in. By the time you walk down, the champion's going to recover. It just those little tightening of the screws is what disconnects you from this company, because it's especially when you want to call the main event and the in-ring was good. Don't get me wrong. The in-ring was entertaining for the main event. It was really good. The Death Rider DDT, the referees getting knocked out. I don't care if it's an old disqualification, but if you're purposely hitting a referee, that match should be thrown out.
I agree.
If you're an accidental bump, that's different. But if you go out of your way to just put your hand on it, where's the repercussions on that? You want us to respect the authority in the ring with the officials, the referee, no matter what. But, again, referee bumps happen. They get in the way. Okay, I got tangled up. I got crossed up. Fine. But when you're pulling them and hitting, putting your hands on it, it's like, why? What are we doing? They're just little things like that. It's minor things. I know you're rolling your eyes. Look, the pay-per-views, wrestling is supposed to be an escape. Yeah, it is. It is. I agree with you there. But let's go with some storyline. Let's get some storyline consistency with it going forward. At the end of the day, we knew the Death Riders was going to prevail. We knew Moxley was going to prevail. By the way, I got to put this on the side note. John Moxley.
One second, Kev.
Yeah. You got news for me? You got breaking news? Or?
No. My mom's calling me on the phone. My mom's calling me on the phone.
I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant. That's fine. Handle your business there. One thing here that, by the way, a side note, John Moxley in his best shape of his ring career. He looks in some awesome shape, despite taking a kind of a nasty bump that opened up his head. I don't think that was done with the blade. I think that was an accident that he started bleeding. It looked menacing on him. Ethan says, "I hate the Death Riders, but I love how they did it." Yeah, with the interference there, and you want to hate. Listen, Ethan, you want to get as much heat and as much hate on the Death Riders as possible. A lot of people saying that the Death Riders hasn't lived up to the bill as so far. Because when you got Willie Yuta, Carla Castelloni, it was kind of where was Pac? No Pac there. Maria Shafina the one that interferes, and then she gets knocked out. By the way, I think I was looking to see on the report. I didn't see anything. If Maria Shafir might have hurt herself or torn her ACL. My son said she was down and down badly for a long time. When after the match, and FTR went to check on her because when we find out that Adam Cole and FTR returns to the company, FTR brings back the Rated R star Adam Copeland. Adam Copeland cuts a promo. You see Christian is very surprised to see him return. And of course, we knew he was coming back. Copeland was coming back. He was, he says Copeland, it's interesting they're going to go with the older WWE wrestler there. It only shows to me that if Copeland beats Moxley or tries to beat Moxley, we don't know Christian Cage is going to try to interfere. We know they're going to be more juice to that thing in there. I mean, Heel says Tony Khan's goal in 2025 should be get your play a streaming service, and second, start advertising on YouTube and go to more general people. Well, they're starting Max. They're starting streaming on Max. Here's the thing with HBO Max. HBO Max is very expensive, one. Not everyone has it like a Netflix. But it's going to be on Max, so we'll see where they go with that forward. And I was saying that Moxley looks in his greatest shape of his career. When he stand up against Adam Copeland, he's in great shape, Moxley.
Yeah. No, 100%. Sorry about that. I had to take an important phone call.
That's fine.
So the main event, I want to talk a little bit about that because some people might have enjoyed this main event. In terms of action, okay, yeah, it was good. Right now. I'm talking about before we see Adam Copeland, because again, I had to take an important phone call. I apologize for that again, but there was something for my work. But I don't understand why they've had this was again when I talk about too much, kind of what it was. We saw three big egos. And then we see Wheeler Useless come out there. The finish sucked. And I wrote down some notes. I'm trying to pull it back up because I had them, but the match was Moxley to me right now is this whole storyline he has with Marina Shafir. I'm not a whole lot invested into it. I'm not gonna lie. When you say Jon Moxley's in the best shape of his career, absolutely. He looks great. Physically, that's what I mean. He looks great. He looks healthy. You know, we see a little bit of behind the scenes with Renee. You know, he looks great, but he continues to get these cheap ass wins, and it's like, come on, my man, you're not as tough as you really go out there and portray you are. I'm talking about Jon Moxley, the character, not the human being. He doesn't go out there and oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. But you have your whole posse out there getting in the way, and you keep getting these cheap ass wins every time. That's another thing I wrote down. I wrote cheap ass wins in bold letters because I really wanted to express that because that's all it's been recently. But yeah, it didn't end there. The only thing I'm interested in is when they go out backstage and they just beat the shit out of people. Okay, but I do respect Moxley. I respect Moxley a lot. Now the Adam Copeland returns. I think this is good for AEW. AEW needs a guy with the name right now. You know, he's been hurt with injury. He tried to do that stupid spot. He thought he was my age. He thought he was 22 years old again and thought he could do some shit like that. No, I think this run, he's with FTR, so we're not going to see him maybe in the ring as much when we see the 6-man tag team matches. Maybe this leads up to a big match. Maybe they drag this out all the way till Blood and Guts next year or in 2025. Who knows what this leads out, but rated FTR doesn't sound bad to me. It really doesn't. I feel like we're going to see them a little more on Collision just because Collision's going to be the show where it's a little weak and they need that up. But it could go two ways, but I liked it. Give me freaking Adam Copeland versus Jon Moxley for the world title. You got me sold. Now, Kev, since we're towards the end, can they translate that into the weekly shows going into 2025? That's going to be key to this whole pay-per-view, this whole reason why you have Moxley retain and Adam Copeland return right now. Can they transform this into Dynamite? We shall see, but I think they can. They started off 2024 hot. Some things, they had some personal things going on with wrestlers getting in trouble, wrestlers going out on media saying stuff, the whole CM Punk thing. This is the time now. Fresh start, fresh year. They could have a good year like they did this year, but they need to capitalize it. They need to keep going on that, Kev. They really do.
All right, I want to get with this. That Moxley with the Death Riders interfering and causing a victory, they're borrowing from the story of the Bloodline, from Roman Reigns, where either Solo, Jimmy, Jay, whatever the case is. It's okay. They're borrowing that. They're borrowing a little bit of that from the Bloodline. And people are. You see, when you do it repetitively and you see it over and over, you get the same issues. The only thing is that Moxley wrestles every week, and it's going to get to a point where people wrestling fans are going to get or the AEW fans are going to they want to crave him to go.
That's how I am right now.
That's what people get to
because it's like he goes out there and what does he do, Kev? He goes out there and bleeds. He bleeds and does his little DDT thingy and has his guys interfere. We see the same shit every week.
Here's another thing about blood. When you do it too much, that crimson mask from Will Ospreay in his match didn't feel it went over. We didn't even discuss it because you get so numb, so used to seeing blood from Moxley. John Moxley should be sponsored by a menstrual cycle company, menstrual cycle pad company. He's always bleeding. He bleeds more than a woman, and she bleeds for 7 days in a month, once a month. Moxley's always bleeding, and Moxley should be and when you see Hairspray bleed and he comes out half bloody, you're numb to it. You're like, so what? He's just another guy who bleeds. That's the problem when you do something too much in All Elite Wrestling. It doesn't feel special, and that with Ospreay going out there and going against, and I hate to go jumping around because we talked about that, but I wanted to bring that because of the blood. If that spot would have happened where you don't see so much blood in AEW, or you do see it, but not like a freaking collar elbow tie up, then you'll be like, damn, that was special. Damn, Ospreay, he got over without going over. It's just another Ospreay match, another, oh wow, it was still great, but all right. We're not talking about that. He actually went out with a crimson mask and bleeding, possibly needing stitches, because we're so used to Moxley. He numb, or we got so desensitized of him bleeding all the time that when we see another wrestler, whatever. And that's another stripe on All Elite Wrestling, why they don't grow their product, or people don't get crazy about it and want to go bananas, where they need to grow. That's one of the issues. The next issue that we're talking about, like you said, the finishes, it is what it is. And this is the problem when it happens with wrestling all across. One thing people did not like about, and I hate to compare the companies, but they didn't like too much War Games Survivor Series this year, which I thought was great, because we didn't have any surprises. They're expecting this in every pay-per-view or every premium live event would happen with, Adam Copeland comes back out just for the 2 minutes, the 5 minutes of. So you people could go on Twitter and do the watch along and do this 5-second clip of, oh my God. Oh. That's all it is. That's what wrestling fans are all about right now. That's what it is right now. They get thousands of votes of views on Twitter, on X. They post it with the clip on top, and you know who they are. Oh, for real? For real? Oh. That's all it is. That's all it is, guys. That's all it is. And then Tony Khan feeds into it. And if they don't give him that reaction, like, oh, this was trash. This wrestling event, this pay-per-view was garbage. This was no good, because there was no nostalgic moment for them to put on X for the viral seconds. I hate to say that, but that's the truth.
I agree, 100%.
I'm not and here's another problem that happens with All Elite Wrestling. They have to follow up with their pay-per-views. It seems like people are investing money to watch these. They're $29.99, $30.99, whatever the cost is to watch them. People are dishing out to pay them. Follow it up on network television. Don't just, if you have to scale back one match, so be it. You just give them the story or follow up to the matches to build and make people, you're not giving people fear of missing out, because why should I invest my week on Wednesdays watching Dynamite where I can watch the pay-per-view where he's going to load it up with 15 matches? I'll just get my fix on the pay-per-view, 15 matches, and I'm not going to invest my time on Wednesdays, because they don't do storylines to build you to watch the pay-per-view, because he just puts it all together. And that's the issue in All Elite Wrestling. That's the issue that they're having. People want to give this the opportunity for it to grow. People want to get behind it. People want that to be an alternative to WWE. Some people hate the WWE. They want to see WWE fail. And there's people that don't want to see All Elite make it, but for the other different reasons, not because they hate the WWE. It's just, it's not done right. It's not done correctly. It's not investing time to invest. And then they take shots at the competition where you don't even do it right yourself and you're taking shots. That's the reason why people don't like AEW at most of the time, because they take shots when they don't even do things right. It's like, the blind trying to lead the blind, and you're like, come on, please, go away. That's my take on AEW. All in all, I'm going to give this, believe it or not, this pay-per-view, I'm going to give it a B. It was really good because it had meaning. Every match, regardless of the shitty build for each one of these matches, or whatever, regardless of underwhelming builds, they were meaningful matches you had to watch match to match because it was implicated for a world title, a tournament advancement, a fatal four-way, whatever. There was points. To end the year pay-per-view, every match on this card was important, and I kind of appreciate that he didn't add more than enough matches. I thought the amount of matches for AEW was good. It was pleasantly surprised. It was good for me as a casual who don't like the product to watch it. I thought it was from I'm not talking about zero. I was talking about the main card was, to me, for AEW. I thought it was good. It was good, spot on. I'm giving them their kudos, their credits, their flowers. It was perfect to me. Maybe one match less, but I'm not gonna be. It's because you had the semifinals of the Continental Classic. Understandably so. Understandably, it was a B show. It was good. Take it, run to the bank with it. In my opinion, I mean, like my it's just my opinion. It's not, you can take it for. It's not worth its weight in gold. It's just my opinion. And let's see what happens now for them with momentum in 2025 with this pay-per-view.
Yep, I agree. I'd also give it around a B. It was a good it was good matches. Each match had a championship. It wasn't one of those championships where like the New Japan Strong title or one of these.
Right.
No, all these matches, were AEW brand championships, and they were decent quality. The reason why I wouldn't give it an A is because a couple stories dragged it down, in my opinion, like the Moxley one. The finish to that the Fatal 4-Way match, and there was another one. Oh, and that hideous Tijuana fucking street fight. If it wasn't for those two things, I maybe would have given it an A just for a wrestling pay-per-view. But yeah, other than that, mierda, it wasn't good. I enjoyed the show.
No, and not only that, the reason why I don't give, here's a couple reasons. That Tijuana had made no sense what the match was at all. The lack of no selling of certain matches that we talked about. Also, that main event, they had too much shit going on. Like, you had Christian Cage standing there with the Waffle House menu holding it. Like, yeah, I'm gonna have the Uzi platter, and he had the other lady there with the Vic Wayne's mom just standing there like, okay. Then Hook was in another one, and then this, and then that to me was a little bit of a disconnect. Like, okay, you got 4 men in the ring already, plus you got 4 other outside of the ring. That's a lot of people there, and then why do we have to see them up there at that spot? It was just like, what? Like, yep. You're confused. You're like, what the hell is going on here? Why? And if you're a casual watching this, why the hell is he doing up there? What is it? And this and that. And then Jim Ross, the commentary didn't, and they didn't explain or don't. They're talking about other nonsense about, it was like, it was like, what? It was like, what the hell? What am I? It didn't feel like a pay-per-view main event. It felt like a rampage on a Friday night or at Elevation when they have when you see on Botchamania when they do the jokes on the commentary that they're having fun, but they weren't really having fun. They were like discombobulated themselves because they didn't know where production was taking them, all different places from here, there, and it was that was a tough one. That's why it's not going to get an A. No way in hell for that. With that, and that's why they take the B and run. Because they don't want to sound like, oh, you're just hitting because you just like WWE. No, giving it it was an entertaining show, but there was a lot of things they need to clean up to make it to be in the level of being all elite, and which it still was a good show. Don't get me wrong, still was a good show. I'm gonna give an A+. Anything is the Orlando crowd. And by the way, just food for thought. The crowd was on fire, electric. Remember this. You didn't see no one standing, and this is something I hate about All Elite, the standing of the matches. People behind you pay a lot of money. Sit your ass down. Let them watch the match too. You're standing up on the rafter, on the freaking barricade there. Sit your ass down in the fucking hard camera. Let the other people in the back see. They pay a lot of money too. Just because they couldn't afford the front row, they're three rows back. They can't see the match. Sit your ass down. You don't need your stinky self standing up and hanging over. Sit down. Get up when the time has come, but not the whole match. But you didn't see something that you see in All Elite Wrestling. Big ass tall beers. That was a college arena, and I don't think they sell alcohol in the UCF arena. I'm not too sure because every time I've gone, I've gone to basketball. I don't drink beer, so I'm not a big beer guy. and I've gone for the college basketball, and I went for graduation. So I don't remember they actually sell beer in the arena, but you also saw a good crowd because usually the AEW get a lot of people with a lot of tall ones, and you see them standing there with double fisting beers. I don't know if there's a sale or whatever. You didn't see the alcohol there, and that crowd was very fun. So big difference from Orlando. You take a look at the next ones, you're gonna see the big beers, Dynamics and stuff, and the crowd don't show up. So just keep an eye on that. I noticed that different there. So we're ready to go. Ready to say good afternoon, good evening to everyone. So we appreciate everyone joining us. Look, this is not a cup of coffee, but now with Chris, hopefully now we got someone who wants to do AEW. Who watches
I appreciate it because, like you said, it's not your cup of coffee. I enjoy.
I love fucking wrestling. We'll talk about it. And someone is not going to disappear. As long as they don't, I have got kind of path that just disappear with no call, no show, and I'm like, then I'm standing here with a microphone in my hand instead of, sometimes it feels like it feels like a penis, but and I hate to be by myself there, to do, what's the point? Kevin, I remember when we went all in with my sister and my dad, there was two guys in front of us and they were standing there. Yeah, isn't that, let me ask that, Ethan, before we say goodbye, let me touch on that point. Right? Doesn't it make kind of bothers you? It's okay to cheer. I'm not saying wrestling fans got to sit on their hands like Pittsburgh does. Yeah, and no offense, because I have killed. No, I'm going to be honest with you. I have killed your city. I have killed Pittsburgh when it comes to wrestling. They've been sitting on their hands. They've been a boring crowd. No offense.
Especially that one SmackDown. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
they were boring. Yeah, and it was a special one. So I always throw that reference, that jab at Pittsburgh and Tennessee. 2 years ago, 2 Monday Night Raws, the first one of the year, they sat on their feet. Nashville sucked when it came to Monday Night Raw too. I put those cities that, my point is, I understand you don't want people sitting on their freaking hands and not cheering. You want them cheering, but the whole match you're going to stand up and lean and do. We didn't pay to see you stand up and sit your butt down, get up and cheer when you need to, get the proper etiquette down when you're watching wrestling because you have people behind you. You always got people behind you that they paid the same amount of money. They just couldn't get that seat in front of you at that time. Be courteous, be happy at the proper etiquette, and sit your ass down so they can see the match too. That's all I say. That's the public service announcements from the Sports Jedi Network, from BX Sports Jedi Kev. But we want to thank everyone. We really appreciate it. We couldn't see Bryan Danielson versus Swerve. It was high up. Yeah, see, because they're standing up. That's the problem. That's the issue that they have with that. But again, we thank you so much. We'll probably, hopefully in 2025, we'll start adding some reviews, and not just AEW, NXT, SmackDown. We do the watch along. So we invite you to watch us on the watch along as the event happens. We want you to come in the chat and react and comment on what's happening as the wrestling event is happening. We want to hear from you guys. We want to have a conversation like the way Ethan, the way Heel was having with us, or the way Luther and so forth. We're having conversations with us about the wrestling. And Johnny, thank you, Johnny. We appreciate you definitely joining us. I want to hear that. I want to see that that interaction, because that's what it's about, interacting with just the whole wrestling community. I can have a conversation with Chris on my phone or out stream, and we could talk about wrestling for hours. We want to have it with you and grow, so everyone can have that conversation together as a wrestling community. And of course, don't forget to follow us. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We're on a roll for 20,000 subscribers here on YouTube platform. Let's go. We're on X. We passed the 10,000 followers. Then we go back down a couple, back up. It's fluctuating. So X, we want to stay over that 10K. We want to keep growing that on X. So please follow us on X and follow us on all our different platforms. If you're watching us, please don't forget to share, comment, and let people know what we have, what's going on with the wrestling community, what we're doing here, and also anything sports related. Well, so have a happy Sunday. We'll be back tomorrow night for Monday Night Raw for the wrestling fans. We'll talk some Monday Night Raw, watch on. We'll get ready. Hopefully get some news and notes and stuff like that. So from me, Chris, say good night, and we'll just hit the outro.
Good night. Good night. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you, Kev. I know this isn't his cup of coffee, but he said, hey, you want to do AEW? Yeah, I'm here. So I appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow for Raw.